Today I'm going to explain how I got my green card in Ukraine, my 10-year permanent residency card. Um, one of the ways to get permanent residence status in the Ukraine is to be married for more than 2 years to a Ukrainian citizen, and I qualified because I was married in 2016, and I was applying in 2024. So after 8 years of being married, that was one of the things I needed. And then I just needed to document. I needed to have my most recent passport translated into English. So after I arrived in Kiev, my wife met me at the bus station, and she had already rented us a hotel at really close to the bus station. So I arrived about 10 o'clock at night. The next morning, we went to some place that translates documents, like they call it a notary or something like that. And it seemed like it took a day or two to get that done for some reason. I don't know why. So they translated it, and then we hired a long distance taxi to drive us from Kiev to our small cottage, or they call it a dacha, in the village, which is about 25 kilometers from where we're at right now, I believe. Maybe it's 30 kilometers. And then we were in the market to buy a house, and the driver that we used very regularly to do our immigration status found a house for sale, and the people wanted cash, and they wanted crisp $100 bills. Only problem is the bank would only let me pull out $500 U.S. currency per day, so it took me more than 3 weeks to get the cash. And but I had the money, and we got the cash. We bought the house, and the good news is it was really close to the immigration office that we were traveling a long distance with the taxi to go through the process. And the immigration people were very nice. There was 2 ladies, and no one's immigrating, so I didn't have to wait in any line. Every day we went down to the office, we were their only customer the whole day, every day, all day. So that's the good news. When you're immigrating to a country where no one's immigrating to, you don't have to wait in line. And so they did my mug and print. So they did the same process in America. They computerized fingerprints and take your photo, and they connect it. They did ask me a lot of questions in the immigration office that were basic and not really like it, and they weren't like investigating me. They just were asking basic questions. I kind of forget what they were asking, but it was super easy questions. But the process. So any American that arrives in Ukraine, they get their passport stamped, and it's good for 90 days. Well, the process did take longer than 90 days, but the immigration officers, I think, have the option of renewing my visa or making me leave, go back through Poland and stamp my passport and come back. But they were super nice, and they used their discretion to renew my visa on the spot, or give me a visa on the spot. So they did that, and I didn't have to travel 9 or 10 hours out of the country to get a piece of paper stamped and then come back 9 or 10 hours, whatever. So I was very grateful for them, and they're very nice to me. and but they also said I had to go to that interview. So I went to that interview. It was in the big city, 2 hours east of me or west of me, and that was the one where they asked me. They asked me, you know, where I was born, what my dad did for work, all my brothers and sisters' date of birth, what they did for work, what my mom did for work. Yes, and let's see, what there was another question they asked me that I don't. Anyway, they 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 gave me within an hour. They, they might have done some, computer work behind the scenes that I don't know of, but within an hour, the background check interview was done, and I wasn't worried about it because I got nothing on me. I'm just trying to get my simple green card, and they passed me. And then I didn't hire a lawyer. Um, a lawyer might have been easier, but it was so easy that it wasn't a big deal. But there were a couple forms that the immigration office and my wife had to fill out, very basic and simple, and we had to go to the bank and make a payment, and it was, as far as I know, it was super cheap. I don't think it was more than $5 to go through, like every time we had to do some paperwork. It was not expensive. In the interview, they didn't charge us for the interview in the city with the federal police or whatever. And then, so the immigration officers worked so close to where I lived, or where I live right now, so they told me they were going to meet me, and they were going to have my neighbor notarize a document or sign a document saying, yeah, I do live here. So there's an elderly woman and man that lived next door to me, and she doesn't speak English, but her name's Maria, and she was willing and able. She signed the document that, yes, I do live next door to her. That is a fact, and so that was easy, and I'm grateful for Maria, my next door neighbor, for doing that. She didn't have to do that. And then I can't remember if I think I had to go back to the immigration office because there's another immigration office in the big city, and that's where they handed me my green card. And so I landed in Ukraine on June 5th, 2024. I got my green card, I think, in January 2025, and it's good for 10 years. So I'm good till my green card's valid till January 2035. But that's kind of interesting facts or information for people that are trying to immigrate to Ukraine or other countries. But the real interesting was my journey of getting here. So I left America. The last time I was in America was on June 3rd. I was up north at my mom's house, and I said my goodbyes, and I think I drove from 5 in the morning, and it's a 3-hour drive from there to my brother's house in Mesa. So I met up with my brother. We had breakfast at Taco Bell, and I handed over. I gave him the keys to my car and I signed over my ownership, whatever it's called, the title to my car to my brother, and now my niece drives that car, and apparently she likes it. It's 10 years old. It's a 2015 Mazda CX-5, and it's 2026, so it's already 11 years old. And I put a lot of mileage on it, maybe 200. Anyway, so after breakfast, my brother drove me to the airport, Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. I had a layover in Frankfurt, and then my final airport was Warsaw, Poland, and then I had a previously paid bus ticket from the Warsaw bus station to Kiev. So I got to the airport in Sky Harbor, and I can't even remember what airline it was, but there was a 6-hour delay or something crazy for no. I don't know why. It's in the summer. Like, what's going on? It's not like we have winter conditions in Phoenix, so the airplane didn't leave, and that's a problem because I already knew I was going to miss my layover in Frankfurt. I was going to miss my plane, and I had already paid and hired a taxi to take me from the Warsaw Poland airport to the Warsaw train station, and so I was going to miss that guy, and it's prepaid. So we arrived at I mean I was by myself, so it wasn't. There's no we, I guess, but I guess it was strangers. So I eventually flew from Phoenix to Frankfurt. Frankfurt, it was kind of stressful because I had to get my luggage, and then I had to and because my plane, I missed my plane, and I think the plane with my luggage had already arrived, as far as I remember. I did get my luggage, so that wasn't a problem, and then I had to go to the desk to reissue my carry-on luggage to because I have a new flight, and they understood that. I guess that, I mean, they work at an airport. That happens probably every single day of the week, every day of the year. So they were very helpful, and then I caught my flight, a different flight from Frankfurt to Warsaw, and I was sending messages to my taxi driver, and he said, well, since I missed my flight, he was playing this gypsy game, I think. Since I missed my flight, he can't return the fare, and he said you can go directly through me to book another taxi. You can hire me again for a job I didn't do, and then for a job he didn't do. So he wanted me to pay him directly under the table or something. That's kind of the vibe I got. And so I said no thanks. So I gave him a bad review because I paid him. He never took me, and then he tried to undercut the agency that I went through, so he doesn't have to pay them a fee, and that was bull crap, in my humble opinion. And then there's a whole bunch of taxis outside. I just hired a random taxi, no problem. I didn't have to wait, and it was late at night. It was, as far as I know, it was super cheap. I went to an ATM at the airport, got Polish currency, whatever, and it was super easy. And then I got to my bus station. My bus was supposed to leave at 11:30 at night. Even though I was 6 hours late for my first flight, so my next flight was delayed too, I still arrived at 11 o'clock at night, even though my taxi driver played a game on me, the first one, my pre-hire. I told the story to my Polish cab driver, the new one, and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No, of course." And I gave him a huge tip. I don't even know how much I gave him, but he was surprised. But I had this currency. I've never been to Poland before. I'm not familiar with the currency. I don't know the rate, so I might have given him $50. I don't even know. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know. I gave him a lot. I gave him a lot of money. It seemed, but it was monopoly money at that point. He seemed happy. I was happy. I was so happy I got to the bus stop or the bus station 30 minutes before they were, and it was scheduled to be like a 15-hour bus ride. Plus I had to go through immigration at the border of Ukraine and Poland, which is not super fast-tracked. But so 11:30, I get on this double-decker bus, and we're headed to Poland, and everyone on the bus is sleeping. But I woke up about approximately 2 in the morning, and I got on my cell phone. I made a international call on my cell phone to call my brother, let him know, hey, I'm safe, I'm on the bus. And while I was on the phone on my bus, the bus gets in an accident. The bus driver fell asleep at 2:30 in the morning, in my humble opinion. I heard later that he told his boss that a big dog or something ran in front of him. But what he did is, there was a small roundabout, a very small roundabout, and he went straight through it. Boom. So we go, everyone's awoke at that point, and the bus is disabled, and he ended up dragging us into a parking lot at a bus or a gas station. So we're at the gas station 3 hours waiting for another bus because this bus ain't going nowhere. And I kind of felt bad for the bus driver, but he fell asleep. Maybe he needed a monster drink or something. I don't know, but he I, he, he did a lot of damage to the bus, and maybe more damage than he makes in a year. I don't know, but so we get a new bus driver, a new bus. I ate a pizza and a hot dog at the Polish gas station, and we got back on. We went to immigration one at a time. I think they took our picture and stamped our passport on the Polish side, and then we had to go through and do the same on the Ukraine side. And it seemed to go all right. It seemed slower than needed because there's not a lot of people going into Ukraine, so it's not like we had like 50 cars in front of us. We got there and we get off, go in the building, go out the building, go in another building, go out the building, and catch our bus. It seems like it seemed like it shouldn't have taken long. But anyway, so when I'm in, I sent a message to my wife that I'll be late 3 hours at least because the bus driver wrecked it. And so she was expecting me around 6 or 7 at night. I didn't arrive till 10, but so we're driving. One of the cities we made a pit stop in was Lviv, and so we're at a bus station at Lviv getting a pit stop, getting something eating, and that was the first air raid siren went off. And while I'm driving through different cities from the Ukraine border to Kiev, I saw a lot of bombed out buildings that were destroyed and 2 years into the war, and they've not been repaired at all. So I saw a lot of war damage, really crazy, almost like you're driving through war-torn World War II Europe and seeing, a lot of damage at the big buildings. And there wasn't anyone on the bus that spoke fluent English, so I basically traveled. It was a 15-hour bus ride approximately. It ended up being an 18-hour bus ride, and no one spoke English, and I didn't speak Ukrainian, so I basically didn't talk to anyone for 18 hours. And then my wife was really worried, but when we got there, she was super excited. I hadn't physically seen her in 5 years, because I haven't been able to travel because of first the COVID and then the war. But now that my status, I'm retired, I don't have to worry about going back to America. So I've officially been in Ukraine from June 5th, 2024 till today, February 2026, without having to leave, and in the middle of a war. And I haven't seen anybody die. I have seen funeral processions, and but I haven't seen any. I've seen buildings that were destroyed and burned and bombed and all that, but I haven't. I did see a tank one time, a Ukrainian tank. One time, my driver was driving us from our village house to the city here, and we were driving on the back roads, the dirt back roads to get to this place because there's, I guess, the roads are pretty bad. The main highway roads are pretty bad, so the back roads there's less potholes. You have to drive slower and everything, and a tank comes out of nowhere. I was like, oh my gosh, a Russian tank! Not a Russian tank, a Ukrainian tank. It looked really cool, but tanks are a bullseye. So here I am driving down the street and I see a tank, and I'm like, oh crap, how close am I to the front line right now? So anyway, where I am right now, I'm approximately 1 mile or 1 hour drive south of the border. I do feel safe where I'm at because it's a remote, small town. It's not a target. It would kind of be a waste of the money and resources to almost, even though they have bombed us over the past 2 years that I've been here, 18 months that I've been here. We haven't been hit by any missiles, only drones. And no rockets or missiles. But other cities like Lviv and Kiev have been bombarded crazy amounts. So that those are big cities and they're beautiful cities, but it's not safe there because they're heavily targeted every single day, as far as I know. I think they got hit really hard on the 17th of February. So yesterday I made a video and I talked about how I met my wife, and a funny thing happened. I walked back home, I took off my jacket, and I had my selfie stick in my back pocket, and I didn't realize I had a 4-inch tear in my pants. I had a hole in my pants, and I think my jacket covered it. But I'm walking around in Ukraine with a 4-inch hole in the back of my pants and my drawers hanging out, and I didn't know it. How embarrassing is that? But as far as I know, no one could see it. And but I haven't told my wife that I'm making these videos because she wouldn't want me to. She would probably tell me to put a stop to it. And she saw my selfie stick. I didn't. She didn't say anything. She pulled it out of my pocket and then put it back in. She didn't say anything, and maybe she's suspicious because why would I be carrying a selfie stick? But, so yesterday, I had lunch at the burger joint, and I had a nice cheeseburger, French fries, and Sprite. But after that, I didn't eat anything and I didn't drink anything after that during the night. And this morning when I woke up, I wasn't hungry again. I didn't eat until 11. So whatever time I ate, around 1 or 2 in the afternoon yesterday, I didn't eat until 11. So maybe it was 20 or 22 hours that I didn't eat anything, and I wasn't really hungry. I'm not on a diet. I've had a loss of appetite, maybe due to excitement about making videos or something. And maybe I'm gonna lose some weight over it. And the good thing is I don't feel super unhealthy. I just, normally I'm hungry all the time, and now I'm not. I did a church online today. It's Sunday. The church I attend to, I'm a member of the Chernihiv branch in the Ukraine Moldova mission, and it's a 2-hour bus ride from where I'm at right now to my church in the city, and then church is 2 hours long, and then it's a 2-hour bus ride back. So it's if it's perfect timing, it's a 6-hour trip to attend church to get back home. But the bus leaves here at 6 in the morning, and it arrives at 8. Well, church doesn't start till 10, and so I usually get to church early and just sit there and wait. And it's about a half-hour walk from where I get dropped off to where the church is. And so I usually get there about 8:30, and sometimes it's locked and I have to wait until someone opens the church, and then I go in there. And so I usually wait about an hour in church, and it's nice and quiet and warm in there. And the people are super nice. Today there was a guy in attendance that speaks English. His job is he's in the Ukraine army. He's a full-time soldier, but so he's not able to attend church all the time because sometimes he works 24-hour shifts on or 48-hour shifts on and then 48-hour shifts off or something. I'm not 100% sure, but I asked him, I said, how do you speak such good English? Because no one speaks English in this country. And he said, because I used to be an English teacher. I said, okay. Super nice guy, speaks English, and he was there today. I saw him in church online. I saw Evgeny there, and his wife was there, and then. But I was only virtual. I was like video chat watching it, and but I have a hymn book in Ukrainian, so I was singing. They had 4 songs today, and I sang all 4 songs in Ukrainian at my house while they were singing it in the city 2 hours away. So that's the cool thing is that I'm able to do that. That's the good thing about technology is I can um, go to church online and sing with them online. And then I took a nap, and then the power went out at whatever time it is now, and so basically my phone is charged, and um, so I'll tell a story real quick about the first time I attended church in that city. I I didn't know exactly where the church was. I had to Google search it, and they didn't know I was coming. I was the biggest surprise of the year for them. So I caught the 6:20 bus. There's a 6 a.m. bus and a 6:20 bus. I caught the 6:20 bus, and it is packed. It was packed. There's 18 seats, and it makes a lot of stops. By the time, oh, I heard some sort of explosion or something. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe it was artillery. There might be a drone flying around, and a lot of times you'll hear they're trying to shoot the drone out of the sky. I don't know what the noise was. It was only one, so that's kind of unusual. Okay, so I'm on the bus. I'm where the bus starts from A to B, and it's a 2-hour ride, and there's 18 seats on this minibus, and it wasn't crowded at the first stop, but it gradually picks up another one. Well, I gave up my seat to some old lady, and I'm standing there. There's 8 people standing, and there's 18 seats. There's 26 passengers and the driver. There's 27 people on this bus that has 19 seats. We're crammed in like sardines. And it was really, the funny thing is, I'm like in the Twilight Zone because I'm the only person that speaks English. And I don't speak Ukrainian, and I'm on a bus. And I don't know how I'm going to get back, like where to catch the bus to get back, because it's my first trip. So when I got to church, they were surprised. These people were like, wow, an American's there? What's going on here? And the branch president's daughter spoke English. She's probably about 25, 30. I said to her, her name is Yulia. I said, Yulia, can you help me get back? Because I don't know where to go. And one of the guys, he's also a soldier. His name's Anton. He speaks a little bit of English. I mean, he understands more than he can speak, but we use Google Translate. He says, I'll take you back. And so he showed me how to get, after church, he took me to, there's what's called an Avto Vokzal, which is a bus station, and it's directly next to the train station in the cities. And so I was so grateful for this guy, and he was so nice. And here's his story. He told me, he goes, his family is from the Donetsk region. He's about 30 years old. His mom and dad have already passed away. He's the only child, and he has an uncle that's alive and a grandma that's alive, but they're behind enemy lines. They're actually in occupied, Russian claimed territory of Ukraine. And so and I said, so where do you live? He goes, I'm a full-time soldier. He lives on whatever base wherever he's serving, he lives on base on a Ukrainian army base. He's homeless, except for he's 100% full-time soldier every day. And I guess he got the day off to go to church. And now he's been transferred to a city further west. I can't remember where he's at, but super nice guy. And I told him, I said, I will adopt you as my brother. You are my Ukrainian brother. I'm your American brother from now on. And I love the guy. Super nice guy. And I don't know where he's going to live when the war ends, but he has a place to live technically because he lives on a base in the country, kind of like, American servicemen serve on military bases. That's what he's doing. Other than that, he doesn't. he'd have to rent an apartment somewhere after the war to have a place to live. Everything he owns is in a bag, you know, like a duffel bag, army duffel bag. Other than that, he doesn't have it. So I can't imagine living in that situation in life, having no relatives, or the only relatives you have are in in occupied territory by an enemy country, and you don't know what your future is. You could die, or if you live, what your future is very uncertain. So I told him, I said, let's keep in contact while you're, you know, serving, and we'll connect after the war. And maybe I can get him an apartment or a house over here by me after the war if he wants to, because he has no home base. So that's what I told him, and that's what's going to happen, and and hopefully everything will be okay. I worry about that guy, but he's not currently on the front line. Someone's screaming at it's not panic scream, they're just yelling at each other. But there's probably about 1, 2, 3, at least 4 or 5 people ice fishing on this duck pond, and I still have never seen them catch a fish. And I hope I'm not the reason, and I'm assuming I'm not the reason. So the process of me going to church, I usually, wake up around 5, get ready, walk to the bus stop in my town, um, which is about a mile away. It's not far. Catch the bus 2 hours longer. Walk to the church, go to church, and then afterwards I take the city bus to the actual bus station that has all the buses that go, wherever, different directions. And I've never had a problem. It's exciting. I actually like riding the bus and not having to drive, because I can sleep on the bus. Because my first destination, I stop at the last stops in both directions, so it's not like I have to be alert and get off somewhere. Not everyone starts at the beginning and gets out the end. Sometimes they start in the middle and get off somewhere else in the middle. And another thing I noticed is that every Ukrainian, almost every single one, whenever they get off the bus, they say thank you to the driver. And I don't ever remember that anywhere else in the world that I've traveled where, and the word for thank you in Ukrainian is yakoyu. Oh no, yeah, yakoyu. So as they're getting off, they say yakoyu, and I think that's really interesting. Maybe it's a cultural thing, maybe it's a Slavic thing where you thank the driver when you're getting off, because almost every single person. So I start doing that. So whenever I get off, yakoyu. And oh, another funny thing is there's roadblocks between my city and the big city. Like war. There's soldiers, and sometimes they stop the bus. And so whenever they stop the bus, they ask for documents. Well, I always carry my passport and my green card. So I've had probably 10 different times where the soldiers have actually asked for my passport and green card, because they don't always stop. They a lot of times they just wave or bus through, go through. But when they get on, they'll take a picture of my passport, picture of my green card, and sometimes they make a phone call. Is this guy legit? So all the passengers now know that I'm an American, because I'm the only one that they have to stop. And the driver, there's one driver, he's kind of funny because he gets irritated not at me, but at the soldiers for slowing him down. And he likes to drive fast and aggressive. He's kind of funny. He's an aggressive bus driver. And he acts like he's in a hurry, like he's gonna be late for dinner every time. There's no reason for that. But if I was a bus driver, I wouldn't drive as aggressive as him. But I love the guy anyway. He's a pretty cool guy. I do love Ukrainians, and they're so nice to me and patient with me, and they don't know most of them don't know I'm an American. So, and I don't. I was kind of nervous yesterday when there was a police car that drove by, and I was wearing that bright jacket, and I did think they're gonna stop and talk to me, but I'm legal here. I'm not committing a crime. I'm actually not online, and I'm not giving away military positions. I'm not a spy. I'm a good guy. I'm pro-Ukrainian. I want Ukraine to have their independence, of course, and I plan on living here for the rest of my life. There's a cemetery in town. If I die within the next 50 years, I plan on being buried here in Ukraine in that cemetery. That's my plan, and it might be free to be buried there. I don't know. There's empty spots, and if they do charge, it can't be as expensive in America. Some places in America it's really expensive to be buried in the cemeteries. Some places it's probably reasonable, but this will if I die in the next 50 years, this small town here is going to be my final resting place, and but I do look forward to every day. I love my life. I love being retired. I get paid for breathing. I'm out of debt. I'm debt free, like Dave Ramsey, and I never have to work again. My pension is just a lifetime pension. It's not like a 401k nest egg or anything. They just keep depositing, and I have access to my American bank account, just withdrawing money in the ATM. So it's good. My life is good. I have food. I have electricity on and off, and I have water and heating. So I'm doing good. Oh, I was gonna say one more funny thing. On my luggage. So because I knew I was leaving America, and possibly never ever returning, I actually donated all my clothes minus my underwear to a thrift store called Deseret Industries, and I gave them everything I own. I had a collection of I don't know how to ride motorcycles, but I had a collection of motorcycle or Harley Davidson t-shirts, and I probably had 15 of them, and I wish I would have brought them with me because they were such cool shirts, and I've been collecting them over the years. Even though I've never actually been in a Harley Davidson store, I usually find them at thrift stores. So there is a thrift store in town here that gets international clothes, and over the months I've found 4 different Harley Davidson t-shirts. So now I restarted my collection of collecting Harley Davidson t-shirts, and one of them was from Sturgis. So I have a Sturgis, South Dakota Harley Davidson t-shirt. How awesome is that? And then one of them is from somewhere in Austria. I'll have to look it up. And then I can't remember where the third one is, and the fourth one is just a generic Harley Davidson, but with the label. So it's not a bootleg. It's a legitimate Harley Davidson t-shirt. It just doesn't have a store location. There's something interesting going on. Let me see. See that? There's a guy, a girl. Oh wow, this is cool. So this guy's he's drilling a hole. I don't know if you can see it. See that? Oh wow. I hope I caught that on video. That was really cool. He's drilling a hole in the ice. Very cool. Anyway, I'm gonna go get something to eat.